Shades of Benga Online presents highlights from the story of Kenya's popular music in the 70-year period between the end of the Second World War and 2016. The series draws its inspiration from the definitive book Shades of Benga by Geroge Music.
Welcome to Shades of Benga web series. Tonight, we'll be discussing funk, music of the 70s and 80s. To play us in is Dago's Nomad, performing You Can Do It, originally by Slim Ali and the Hodi Boys. My name is Alo Obala.
Two. It's a feeling for me and you. Make it all of the time through. It's a feeling for me and you. You can do it if you try it all. No need to worry about a thing. It's a happy time if you really feel. You can do it. The time through. Let the feeling just be with you. Make it on to feel like all the time. It's a feeling for me and you. You can do it if you try it all. No need to worry about a thing. It's a happy time if you really feel. You can do it. Try to make it all. Just go ahead without feeling. Ooh, you can do it. You can do it if you try it all. It's a happy time if you really feel. You can do it, you can do. I wanna do a thing for two. It's a feeling for me and you. Make it all of the time through. It's a feeling for me and you. You can do it if you try it all. No need to worry about a thing. It's a happy time if you really feel. You can do it, you can do. Get in that feeling. Just let me see your feeling. You can do.
That was a rendition of You Can Do It, originally performed by Slim Ali and the Hodi Boys. Our first panelist for today is Tabu Osusa. Tabu Osusa has been a key part in the East African music industry for almost 40 years as a band manager, music producer, and show promoter. He is the executive director of Geroge Music, founded in 2007, and lead author of The Shades of Benga, the story of popular music in Kenya from 1946 to 2016. Karibu Tabu. Our next panelist is Francis Geroge.
Thank you.
Francis Geroge is a seasoned musician known for his roles in the bands Makonde and African Heritage Band. He is also an advocate for African classical music and its dissemination in the formal education system. Karibu, Francis.
Asante sana.
Nicola Miyawa is a much-celebrated radio personality whose career spans over 30 years. She has worked with media houses such as VOK, now KBC, and Capital FM as a presenter and station manager. Karibu, Nicola.
Thank you.
So let us begin our discussion with Tabu Osusa. Tabu, kindly take us through the emergence of funk in Africa.
Well, in the late 1960s, leading to the early 70s, there was a musical revolution that was sweeping across the globe, all the way from America to Africa. And the word was funk. And the person actually who defined this musical wave was the godfather of soul, Mr. James Brown. And this was more so in 1974, when James Brown visited Zaire, or Congo as it's now known, to promote the fight between Muhammad Ali and George Foreman, which was called Rumble in the Jungle. James Brown left a very impressive performance, and from then on, most musicians from Congo, actually Kinshasa, like Tabule, introduced elements of funk in their rumba music. And this they did so by including a drum kit and stage show. There were dancers that Tabule called Rocherettes. And then there was groups like Isosoliso. And wider in Africa, musicians like Fela Kuti now started their own brand of funk, which actually he called Afrobeat. And apart from Fela, there was also the London-based Ghanaian group, Osibisa, who had a great, strong presence in Africa when it came to Afro-funk. And so was Manu Dibangu. And back to Kenya, the local funk scene was equally vibrant. We had bands like Air Fiesta, which was fronted by Steel Buta. We had the Cavaliers. We had the Howdy Boys, fronted by Slim Ali. There was Faisal Brown. And there are quite many others, which I'm sure my colleagues will also mention.
All right, so just to ride on that wave, when you look at funk in Kenya, a large number of the musicians and the groups would emerge from the coastal side of Kenya, from Mombasa. And why is that?
Well, I believe because Mombasa was like where most sailors and all these ships, that's where they docked. And they came with all the new music, the new fashion and everything. So before anything came to Nairobi, it came through Mombasa first. So I think that maybe could be the reason.
So over to you, Francis.
Yes.
You are a funk musician. You are right in the heart of the emergence of funk, the lifestyle, the music and everything. Kindly just give us an idea, give us the scene of funk music in Nairobi in the 70s and the 80s.
Well, let me say first of all, when it started off, I was a schoolboy. And I was following the artists who were playing then, like Stu Buter and Faisal Brown and others. And I can remember that time as schoolboys and others, we always looked forward to the weekend, because the weekend was the time we'd have the boogies. And the boogies were for the young people. That was the time we'd have fashion, motorbikes rolling all over the place. We had clubs, the Kamei, the Arcadia, and the Starlight. And the good thing about music that time, the owners of the clubs were themselves the ones who were even promoting the place, because they'd have more than one band in those institutions playing. So you'd have a lot of competition. If you're going to Kamei this week, maybe next week you want to go to the Starlight, because there'd always be a competition among the bands. But the good thing about the whole thing, the culture of the young people then would follow music, not just from the original artists like the James Brown. They would want to see the music performed by their local people and how they would do it. It was very, very competitive. Very, very competitive.
Okay, so just dwelling on the clubs like Starlight and the such, would it be true to say that the relationship between the clubs and the bands, the funk bands, was symbiotic?
Was very, very real. Because I remember those days, if I was an artist and I wanted to play or wanted to start a band, the easiest place would be to talk to the club owner. And the club owner would probably buy the equipment. And you'd give us the facilities to play, to practice every day in the afternoon. And you'd allocate a time for us to play every week. And you'd be the one to say, okay, you guys play on Saturday afternoons, and after 8 o'clock, another band will take over for the night. So the employment, the jobs for the artists were quite many, because every place that was a club had to have a live band. Unlike today, where you hardly see live bands anymore, it's like they're in the back thing. So that time, the bands themselves would get to know each other, and say on Saturday night after everybody has played, they would all probably, the artists would meet at Harlian's, and they'd all have a jam, because they all knew each other. It was free. You could walk into any place, and as an artist, we all go to Harlian's, perform, and maybe later on go to Kogoni, which was in the River Road. So the art culture at that time was very vibrant. So was the dress code. Tailors had a lot of work, because people, even the audience, wanted to look different, fashionable, and all that. So there was a culture of both dress and music, and especially the funky music, which was very, very vibrant at that time, because it was all about dancing and showing off how good you are. Of course, James Brown was #1 dancer, and everybody would like to emulate those people. So it was a lot of competition. It was very, very nice.
Nicola, as we just roll off to you as a long-standing media personality, what role did the media have in the popularization and dissemination of funk music in the 70s and the 80s?
That's very interesting, because if you look at funk music and what it sounds like and what it develops from, the 60s was very bland, sort of interesting music, but bland. And the black musicians that you had at that time were like the Supremes, the Platters, people who were singing very easygoing music. And I think funk came in and disrupted that, because it was very loud, it was very black, it was very big afros and outlandish dressing, and it was saying, I'm very, very black. But the ringleader in the game of funk was actually James Brown, playing Say It Loud, I'm Black and Proud, which was one of the foremost songs of the funk movement, if you want to call it that. But media had also a very big part to play. Unfortunately, during those days, we couldn't really get our hands on what you might call hardcore funk, for example, funkadelic and so on and so forth. But media did do a lot in promoting local funk music. And I remember that one person, correct me if I'm wrong, Frank, right, who really had airplay was You Can Do It. Huge airplay. But there was also an interaction between media and artists that I don't see very much of today. So, for example, you would find people going out and meeting the artists, watching them, understanding them, and then promoting those local artists, our local funk artists. And when I look back, what I can also say is that funk transcended the stations that we had. We used to be divided into English, Kiswahili, and so on. But James Brown could be played on Kiswahili service very happily. And he was also played on the English side. So I think it did resonate with people right across the board. I think media, when it comes to any kind of item of popular culture, has a role to play. Sometimes it's not done well, but for funk in Kenya, especially funk made in Kenya, it came through.
I just want to add something that Nicola Mayawa said about the song You Can Do It by Slim Ali and the Hody Boys. In the 1970s, mid-70s, I was living in Kinshasa, and that song actually was among the top 10s in Kinshasa. And you know how difficult it is to impress Congolese. But You Can Do It was a top 10 song in Kinshasa in the mid-70s.
Sasa mimi najuta, kweli najionea, dunia ina mambo. Waliniambia kijana, jihadhari na walimwengu, hao walimwengu si wazuri kwako kijana, nayo sikuyasikiza. Sasa mimi najuta, kweli najionea, dunia ina mambo, dunia ina mambo, dunia ina mambo. Dunia ina mambo, ukiwa nacho leo, marafiki ni wengi sana, watakusifu wewe kijana mzuri. Dunia ina mambo, dunia ina mambo, dunia ina mambo, dunia ina
And that was Duneina Mambo, originally performed by the Mighty Cavaliers. Nicola, just rolling over back to you.
Yes.
We would like to know, was there a fair share of airplay with local funk music and international funk music?
In fact, it was biased towards the local, right? Because, as I said, it was a very different kind of regime then. It's not like now where you can get anything virtually on Amazon or on YouTube and so on. We didn't have that. You had to import records, and since there were restrictions, we could only press certain amounts here. So getting your hands on international music was difficult. So that may have played a part of it. But I think we had enough local talent anyway without that. And we had enough people who were aware of where this music was coming from.
Can I say something on this as well?
Oh, please, chime in.
At the same time, during that time, we had companies like EMI, CBS, and all those. And they also wanted to have their local content on whatever was going on. So if an artist wanted to record, I'll go to Supra Studios, present my work, and they say, okay, you guys, you can have the studio. Do what you can, and we do it. So as Overseas was giving us what they have, there was also that local content that brought out songs like We Can Do It, and I Want to Do My Thing, and all those kind of songs into the scene, because there were people, there was an A&R department that would scout out for artists, and they would go to clubs and find out who's doing what, and they would encourage them to record. And it is not money this time. You just go to the studio, they will provide everything for you, they'll give you the rehearsals, and make sure that you produce the work. So that the local content was always, and they would inform the stations as well what they're doing. So there was an interrelationship between everyone in the whole thing.
You know, we were never short of local talent. In
We were
fact,
never shut up.
Kenya exported some talent. I mean, a group like the Ashantis.
Oh, yes.
You know, and Air Fiesta.
And Air
Remember,
Fiesta,
they took
yes.
their music to Ethiopia.
And Europe, yeah.
Yeah, and then later to Europe. And
Yes.
in fact, Ashantis right now, first they went to Denmark, but now they are based in Zurich in Switzerland.
But the thing is, they had a starting point here, which was solid, where they could do whatever they had to play. They could showcase their work here, because there was that support that was not as hard as people now have, and it was also guided as to what was happening. So by the time we have the radio and the artist and the production area, there was some kind of a link that was there.
There was a trend, so to speak,
Yeah.
of some funk artists Americanizing
Yeah.
their names, Americanizing certain things. Why was this happening?
I think because most artists like to have shitty names.
I'd rather call them pseudonyms.
Well, stage name. Stage name.
Stage name.
Sorry for that, but nobody, only a few of us would like to carry our names as they are. But mostly
I don't think it's just the artists who do that aping, because even if you look at the celebrity pages every Friday, and you see the names that current celebrities have, they seem to be leaning more to the West than local.
Yeah.
So it's not something unique. You take the name that you think fits you best. I wouldn't call myself Curly the Bushman, but yeah, it would pique my attention if I saw that name somewhere. I'd say, who's this Bushman? So I don't think it's particularly limited to the funk area. I think it's still going on.
Yeah.
I still see people who are calling themselves.
Most artists are like that.
Yeah.
Writers, I mean, they always have those kind of names. So I know we had Kelly Brown, there was Faisal Brown.
Yeah.
Because they all looked up to
There was
James
something.
Brown.
Yeah. But we had people like Kasim Kombo and all those very good
Yes,
singers.
Kasim Kombo.
Very good singers. I heard him last in Malindi, and I said, oh boy, what a waste of time. What a waste, because he was extremely good.
And of course, Ismail
Very,
Jingo.
very good. And Jingo. Yeah. Yes, very, very good artist. Very good artist.
Okay, so Tabo, so just rolling over back to you. We had the boogies. What were those? What are the boogies?
The boogies were dances that were held actually mostly in the afternoons. And they were very popular with the youth. because it was safer to go out, without asking your parents' permission during the day than during the night. That's how the boogies were. But I believe Francis must have played many of the boogies. Do you want to tell us more?
Well, I tell you, I was in school, so I was one of the people. I was one of the people attending them. I'll tell you, we attended them. We saved our money. We didn't have lunch. We didn't have all those things just to go to the boogie, because boogie was from 2 to about 7:30 for young people to attend and enjoy. It's like a social hall kind of thing where you go listen to what you have. After that, you go home. Music for the elder, the grown-ups starts from 10 o'clock onward. So there was the same place, the same club would cater for the young and the old. In the afternoon, there was no beer. Only people who were working. But if you're not working, you have your soda. But as soon as you get into the club, you didn't go there to drink soda. You went there to dance. So you danced till you're tired at 7:30. That was the lifestyle. They loved dancing.
And as you said, you would deny yourself lunch so that you can afford this boogie.
Yes.
How much was the entrance?
Maybe 3 shillings,
3
maybe
shillings.
$4. Yeah, it wasn't much.
Okay.
Maybe it'd be 100 much now when we compare, but it was something you could afford to do. And even if you didn't want to get in because you didn't have money, you'd be outside there listening to the band. Because it is listening to the band, these guys are playing your songs, so you listen to them and you enjoy it. Yeah.
Okay, so do you have any memory of a particular band playing when you once went to the boogie that maybe stuck with you?
I would say Holy Boys, Gloria Africana. Yes, all those guys. And there was Kange Brothers.
Yeah, also at the Starlight Club, I think.
Yeah, they were, yeah. All these guys used to go around those clubs. Because it's like I said, the club owners would themselves be a part of the band in terms of, even myself, like when you started off with a band at that time, with Kinachali Mudemba, that time was going to be on stage here later on. We went there as young boys, and when he saw us, he asked us, what can you do, guys? We said, we've got a small record here we recorded the other day at supper. Oh, if you have recorded, I'll give you half an hour every evening to showcase your work. So that's the way it was.
Thabo Susa, funk was a movement. It was more than just a genre of music, it was a movement. And sometimes when such movements come up, governments might feel some resistance. Was this the case in Nairobi and funk?
Yeah, it was the case. First, I'll say the decline of funk was mostly due to the discos, where club owners thought it was not necessary to employ a big band, Instead, they had a DJ with the turntable, with the records, and later on, cassettes and CDs. But also, what really brought about the decline of funk was the ban of the boogies in 1972 by then Nairobi Provincial Commission, I think it was known as J.G. Mburu. He banned the boogies. And the authorities had arrived into conclusion that boogies were being used to introduce juveniles to substance abuse. But personally, I believe the authorities were rattled by the slogans, "I'm black and I'm proud," as Nicola Bia said earlier on, and even the clenched fist salute, which was associated with the Black Panther. So I think the government thought that the youth were being radicalized. And you can also remember during that particular period is the time that the South African diva, Miriam Makeba, who was in exile in the US, was denied a permit to stay in the US. She was actually kicked out of the US when she was associating with Black Panthers and even married Stokely Carmichael. So she had to leave the US and go and live in Guinea. So I think those are some of the things. The government was scared of the Black Panther movement and the way they actually trying to radicalize the youth here. So I think those were actually the decline of funk, and that left a lot of musicians jobless. And then that's how, sadly, it ended.
Thabo Susa, Francis Geroge, Nicole Miawa, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and discuss with us funk in the era of the 70s and 80s. And now to play us out, is Dagos Nomads performing Fever, originally by Ismail Jingle. I have been your host, Alo Obala.
Love you, baby. You give me fever. Love you, baby. You give me fever. I love the way you walk. I love the way you talk. I love the way you move. I love the way you groove. Love you, baby. Hey, you just give me. You give me fever. 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 Come on, everybody. Let's get the fever. Happy everybody. Let's do the fever. I don't need no money. I don't need no money. You just give me fever. 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 Come on, everybody. Let's do the fever. Come on, everybody. Let's do the fever. I don't need no backup. I don't need no money. Give me fever. You give me fever. You just 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 give me fever. Woo!
The journey through Shades of Benga continues. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on our social media platforms for the next episodes. Shades of Benga, the book, is available in all leading bookstores in Kenya. Get your copy for this and other stories in full.
Mambo vipi?